Mark Troyer made the call claiming that his life was in danger.
Some cops have crossed their lines in their line of duty. Let's show you these dramatic incidents. Number 3. In July 2016, Joshua Condiati Wade took part in a public protest with Eric Brandt. They displayed signs stating, "Fuck bad cops" and "Blue Lives Murder" while protesting outside the offices of the Adams County Human. Commerce City police officer Chris Dickey approached Condiati Wade, accusing him of trespassing and disorderly conduct.
Removing you from private property because you were asked to leave this property. Yes.
You see any posted signs? Don't.
A brief exchange ensued, resulting in Dickey using a taser on Condiati Wade. The incident, captured on video, happened on July 28, 2016, outside the Adams County Human Services Building. There, Condiati Wade and Eric Brandt, wearing lime green shirts, were involved in a non-violent protest, a right protected by the First Amendment. However, someone within the government building took offense and contacted the police. And that's where all of the troubles began. Watch the policemen approaching the two peaceful protesters. The protester here is Eric, and he seems to be frankly right about what he's saying. It indeed is a public building, and the police officer was wrong to tell them it's trespassing. How is it trespassing when the institution doesn't solely own the building? You can see the exchange of constant threats from the police. Anyhow, since they were only two, they had to move from there to a sidewalk and protest there. But wouldn't all have been well if things had stopped right there? The officers decided to not leave them alone by any chance. I mean, that's what the protesters do. USW, they're right. But I guess the officers weren't in the mood to tolerate that. Here, watch it because it gets violent. So a lot happened in less than a minute. Well, you can see how the protesters moved to the sidewalk, but the police officers chased them. Then they told them to stop protesting, and when that didn't work, they wanted to arrest them. Did you see how the officer with the body cam ran after the guy? And not only ran after him, he tased him as well. This is when God sent angels to protect the two guys. Here, Officer Dickey was stopped by none other than his supervisor, Mark Morgan. The exchange is worthy of me narrating it first. Morgan: "Why are you chasing him?" Dickey: "He's under arrest." Morgan: "For what?" Dickey: "For trespassing and disorderly conduct." Morgan: "It's not disorderly conduct." Dickey: "When he's in front of the building yelling, 'Fuck everybody.'" Morgan: "That's not. It's public property. Freedom of speech. Relax." Dickey: "He refused to give his ID, which he's required to do." Morgan: "For why?" Dickey: "So I can issue him a citation for trespassing." Morgan: "It's not trespassing." Imagine how embarrassing it must be for such a reality check, especially by your supervisor. Well, that's when the officers thought, enough of everyone listening, as we are now ironically. Let's turn it off so we can talk in a better way. Both Mark and Dickey turned their body cams audios. Now we cannot hear what they're saying clearly, but thanks to our guy Eric, you will now see Dickey getting humbled really well. Now let me tell you something that'll shock you. All this time that the talks between the two officers were taking place, the taser in Wade's arm was still stuck to him, which later had to be surgically removed. All of this was the reason why Wade filed for a lawsuit in 2019 and won. According to the case of Joshua Condiati Wade vs. Commerce City, Colorado, Condiati Wade endured physical and psychological suffering during the unlawful pursuit, including a puncture wound from the taser barb. Dickey has faced at least 5 citizen complaints for excessive force and gratuitous use of his taser without facing disciplinary action, and has been sued for excessive force, specifically for unreasonable taser use, violating the Fourth Amendment. The lawsuit further asserts that the police department neglects proper officer training. Between 2010 and 2014, there were at least 250 citizen complaints lodged against Commerce City police officers for alleged excessive force, the suit alleges. Wade won the lawsuit with a $175,000 settlement. Not a very bad end, right? Number 2. A Jersey Shore police chief faced suspension after allegedly appearing drunk at an accident scene and getting into a scuffle with one of his officers, who then forcefully restrained him on the hood of a police car and ordered him to leave before escalating the situation. The clash between Bradley Beach Police Chief Leonard Guida and Sergeant William Major erupted on the evening of November 9th. According to body cam footage obtained by Tapinto, a local news site, the chief approached a suspected drunk driving crash on Main Street and began criticizing Major about his uniform. Guida, visibly intoxicated and unsteady, attempted to reprimand the officer on the spot. "Why are you wearing that ill-fitting jacket?" Guida demanded on the recording. "Get rid of it. That's absurd. You're a sergeant, for God's sake." After Major complied and returned to the scene, Guida persisted, calling him back. When Major ignored him, Guida attempted to grab his arm. "Don't you touch me!" Major yelled as he grabbed the swaying chief by his lapels and threw him up on the hood of a police cruiser. "Don't you F-King touch me! Do you have a problem? You grabbed me! Now get out of here before you get a problem!" "Chief, leave now or you will be arrested," Major warned. "Chief, you will be arrested. You touched me after I asked you 3 times to leave me alone. You interfered with my DWI investigation. You crossed a line. It's recorded. I won't argue." "Watch here. Now watch more. Did you see what happened here? Who am I kidding? Of course you did." So Guida seems to have felt insulted, and in that state he still thought he had so much authority, and Guida suspends Major on the spot. And after more back and forth, Major heads back to the station to wait for an upbraiding. "Look what happened. Major has since returned to duty," Tapinto said. But Guida, who was suspended from his $174,000 a year job about a month after the incident, remains on administrative leave from the 18-member department, according to Borough Mayor Larry Fox. A spokesperson for the Monmouth County Prosecutor's Office said the agency investigated Guida's conduct and subsequently forwarded our findings to the Borough of Bradley Beach for its review. "We fully expect that the actions we have taken and the additional actions pending in Bradley Beach will collectively remedy this issue," the statement said. The Monmouth County Prosecutor's Office investigated the chief, who has been suspended since December. Fox echoed this in an emailed statement to the Post. "I have received the report from the prosecutor's office," he wrote. "As you know, this is a personnel matter, and until it is completed, I can't really comment in detail at this time, but I am confident we will have closure shortly." Guida did not respond to requests for comment. Number 1. Let's unfold another unusual case. Kinda sends chills down our spine because it looks like those 911 calls that we see in movies, but it's not what it actually is. Who you hear is Pierce County Sheriff Ed Troyer. In the incident involving Pierce County Sheriff Ed Troyer and newspaper carrier Cedric Altimer, Troyer called an officer line to 911 dispatch, claiming that Altimer had threatened to kill him. As a result, more than 40 officers initially rushed to Troyer's location. You see how the poor guy reacted. I mean, imagine 40 police officers coming after you when you didn't do anything. Well, watch further as the story gets crazy interesting, because when police arrived on the scene, Troyer walked back those statements. Why? Because all of those claims he made were false. An innocent guy was blamed for being threatening to a police officer's life. How devastating that must have been for Cedric. Watch how he constantly claims he did nothing wrong. The guy started explaining himself really well. He was indeed running his delivery route, and the sheriff, without any investigation, should have been the last person to report him for such a grave crime. Now you will also feel that the other officers have started to believe the guy, and who wouldn't? The guy had nothing to hide whatsoever. They knew that Troyer had fabricated the call, and they didn't hold Cedric anymore. This is where the drama ends, but Altimer filed a lawsuit against Pierce County and Sheriff Ed Troyer, alleging that Troyer recklessly disregarded his civil rights and used racial animus in the incident. The lawsuit was settled, and Altimer will receive about $500,000 in a legal settlement, with no admission of guilt or liability from the defendants. Troyer was also charged with 2 misdemeanors related to false reporting and making a false or misleading statement to a public servant, but he was acquitted in a jury trial. The case highlights the importance of accurate reporting and the potential consequences of false accusations in law enforcement situations. That was all from our side. Thank you so much for watching this video. Stay tuned for more. Stay tuned for more.